Vampire: The Masquerade Bloodlines. It's a game I've known about for a while now, but never got around to checking out. I knew it was an obscure game from the early 2000s that had developed a cult following, and after watching a Seth Zintak video about it, I decided to finally check it out, see if it lived up to the hype. Now, I wanted to go into this game completely blind without looking up any guides or walkthroughs. This is just a personal thing, but I don't really like using the internet to guide me through games. I would much rather figure things out for myself, but old games like this tend to be very confusing. So this video is essentially going to be me slogging my way through this game without any help from the internet. Now, I did do some research on the game before I started playing, and what I found was pretty interesting. And I don't want to rush past this part of the video, so if you want to skip the history lesson and go straight to the part where I lose my mind, you can fast forward to here. Now, for those who are curious, Vampire: The Masquerade is actually a tabletop game released in 1991, and eventually I guess it got big enough to spawn a card game, dice, a live-action television drama on Fox that was cancelled before the first season was even over, and of course, video games. The one I'm talking about today, though, is Vampire: The Masquerade Bloodlines. The game began development by Troika Games in 2001 and had a very rocky production. Supposedly the game's scope and size kept growing and eventually outgrew the development budget, and also apparently went without a producer for over a year until David Mullick stepped up. And after 3 years in the oven, the game was still totally unfinished, and eventually Activision left Troika with no choice but to release the game in whatever state it was in. I guess old habits die hard. And it was also released in direct competition with Half-Life 2, which might be the biggest stroke of bad luck. Needless to say, the game flopped, only selling 80,000 copies on release, and received very mixed reviews from critics. Fortunately though, the game ended up creating a cult following in later years. Fanbase is so dedicated that they ended up creating an unofficial patch to fix all the bugs and issues. And good thing they did, because after I bought this game, the only way I could get it to work without immediately crashing was to install the unofficial patch. But once I did manage to finally get the game to work, I was immediately assaulted by character sheets and RPG mechanics. I chose the gay starting class because I thought it would be funny. I didn't really think it would matter in the game.
Nope!
Very first cutscene was my character getting sexually transmitted vampire AIDS from this guy in a dirty LA apartment. Somehow immediately, the anti-Skittle squad kicked down the door and staked both of us. And before I even have time to laugh, my character and his boyfriend are on trial because apparently creating new vampires is illegal or something. This guy, who I guess is the president of vampires, decides to kill the other guy but let me live. And now I have to do stuff for him because he didn't kill me.
This game's dropping a lot of lore on me. Why the fuck do they walk like that? Why do they walk like that?
He tells me to go to Santa Monica to meet a guy named Mercurio to get something from him. I enjoy a whole 2 seconds of gameplay before this guy stops me and explains the entire Twilight lore.
Then they just plop you out here like a naked baby in the woods. Oh wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
Once he's done talking, I enjoy an additional 2 seconds of gameplay before I get warped to another dirty apartment in Santa Monica. I read a note from Mercurio and walk out of the apartment to beautiful Santa Monica.
You got some change, mister?
After brutally giving a homeless man a hickey, I walk 10 feet and turn to see a man bleeding out on the sidewalk.
This bleeding man just crawled into this building, but there's a fucking hospital right there.
I follow the trail of red Kool-Aid, and what do you know, it's Mercurio, the guy that I was supposed to meet. He explains that he was supposed to buy some explosives from some dudes on the beach, but instead they just took his money and beat him senseless. He tells me that I need to go retrieve the explosives from them myself, giving me my first real mission of the game. It is here that I make the greatest mistake of my life. I ask Mercurio if there's anything I can do to help him. He tells me that he has vampire blood keeping him alive, but he needs something for the pain. I think to myself, oh, maybe if I get him some pain pills, I'll get good honor or karma or whatever. After all, there's a clinic right across the street. This should be easy, right?
Nope.
I walk to the clinic, and before I can even get in the door, I'm confronted by this asshole who immediately knows that I'm a vampire and wants me to sign his yearbook. I tell him to beat it because it's the 90s and that's something that people say. Once I'm finally in the clinic, I try to search around for some Aleve, but this lady won't let me past the front office. There was a dialogue option to persuade her to let me in, but with it being all red and bloody, I got the vibe that it's something I shouldn't say. And even after I caved in and decided to try it, the dialogue option disappeared. So now I thought surely there's gotta be a vent or some way for me to sneak into this hospital. And what do you know, there's a side entrance right here. I'm so smart, I thought to myself.
You fool!
This is just a fucking blood bank that's locked off from the rest of the clinic. I leave, and at this point I've completely forgotten about my actual mission. I've become dedicated to getting into this hospital and getting Mercurio's pain pills. I proceed to wander through Santa Monica, walking into every building and talking to every NPC I can find, hoping that somebody can help me get into the clinic, but of course everyone in Santa Monica is fucking useless. Allow me to reiterate, I walked into every building and talked to every NPC, hoping that maybe one of them could give me a lockpick or something.
Soul is pandemic! There is no hiding your true face to the Judge of Souls!
I do this for you, Red Legions, for I love you!
For the deviant!
And what's more is all of these NPCs seemed just as annoyed as I was, like I was genuinely bothering them. Like, you know how in every RPG, when you just walk up to an NPC, they just see that as reason to tell you every fact about themselves? Yeah, not this game. I remember walking into a nightclub thinking, it's kind of cool how NPCs don't just tell you their whole life story, when suddenly...
Oh, I'm having so much fun. Oh, Jesus Christ, you look like if daddy issues were a person.
Young plaything straight out of life and into my club. You smell new, little boy. Like fabric softener do on freshly mowed AstroTurf.
The fuck did you just say to me?
Dollar Store Harley Quinn here proceeds to take up as much of my time as possible. After talking to the Insane Clown Posse, the game plays a cutscene of her going into an elevator, and I guess the game wanted me to follow her, but I was too distracted by the autistic dancing that was happening.
What is this? What are you doing? What the... Wait, is that Saul Goodman?
Back onto the streets, I wandered around a bit more before finding a manhole cover that I could enter to go into the sewer. I got excited thinking that maybe there was some way to access the hospital from down there, except once I was in, I couldn't move. My character was too tall to fit through the tunnel. I violently banged on my keyboard until I found out that the control key made my character crouch. This was the moment that the severity of my stupidity dawned on me. I guess I just somehow forgot that in every video game ever, control is the sneak button. Well, anyway, I immediately left the sewer to try to sneak past the front counter lady in the hospital.
Alright, her back is turned. I think I can do this. Fuck yeah, I did it. What? Criminal? Are you serious right now? I took 2 steps in the hallway. That's a criminal violation. You're just opening fire on me? Oh my god. He's just fucking shooting me because I took a step in.
After that went horribly wrong, I reloaded a save file and tried again at the sewers. Wandered around for a bit and found absolutely nothing. Tried to slapbox a rat.
Stick his bitch ass! Stick his bitch ass!
Run, you little bitch!
And eventually just gave up and decided to try again at sneaking into the hospital. And I failed. Over and over and over. Seriously, as soon as I took a single step into this hallway, this cop just opened fire on me. There was nothing I could do. And at this point, I was sure I had exhausted every possibility. Mercurio had been sitting in that room bleeding out for over 2 hours, and I was no closer to getting him those pain pills than when I started. I was just about to give up when I gave my character sheet a quick glance and noticed that my stealth stat was at 0, but I didn't have any experience points to spend on it. Now, what do you think my smooth brain decided to do in this situation? Seriously, guess what you think my solution was to this problem. If you guess that I started a whole new save file so that I could start over with points in my stealth stat, you are correct, and I have brain damage. So yeah, I started all over, but this time when making my character, I chose not to be gay, and I spent my starting points on stealth. Then I had to listen to this asshole talk, and this asshole talk, all so that I could get another shot at getting into this goddamned hospital. Oh, and it was at this moment that I remembered this was an optional mission. I didn't need to do any of this. I was consciously making the choice to keep trying to get these fucking pain pills, but I don't care anymore. I've committed. I didn't come this far just to give up. I beelined it to the hospital, talked to the receptionist lady, and oh, would you look at that? There's the flavor text from earlier to try to persuade her. Fuck it, I think. I tried the persuasion attempt. It fucking worked. She didn't ask me any questions. She didn't question anything. She just let me right through. I never needed to sneak past her in the first place. I could just walk right through. Holy shit. I stormed through this hospital and searched every room top to bottom. I'm damn near on the verge of a panic attack because I know that I'm so close to getting these fucking pills, and I'm worried that at any moment this cop's AI is gonna bug out and he's gonna turn the corner and blast me. I come to the last room that I haven't searched yet. And what do I see on the counter? Fucking finally. All the time, metaphorical blood, sweat, and tears I put into this game was finally going to pay off. I was going to get Mercurio those pain pills so that he could be in slightly less pain when he dies. I ran out of the hospital feeling like I had just beaten the hardest boss fight of my life. I had dedicated myself to the game, and without anybody's help or guidance, I got Mercurio's pain pills. I walk into the building he's in, stroll up to him, and... where's the dialogue option? Why can't I give him the pain pills? Do I need to fucking chew them up and spit him into his mouth like a mama bird? Why can't I give him the fucking pills? I open my inventory, look at the pills that I picked up. Estrogen. Fucking estrogen. So here I am playing Skyrim. I walk into the building he's into. Are you fucking serious right now? I'm recording lines.